listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
You know what I love? I love that we're officially in the future. It's 2018, and this is the first show for the new year. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias. You are watching LA40 on LA Talk Radio, and I am joined by the lovely Mr. Brian Eaton. Hello.
Hey, LA. How are you? Brian Eaton here.
Brian's joining us all the way from, wait for it, the OC.
Irvine, California.
Irvine, California, Little Orange County, which is feeling very Southern California. And the thing is, Brian, right now, you and I are the lucky ones because we're walking around today literally with, I didn't even remember to bring my coat. And all I'm seeing in social media is all this bombardment of like the snow bomb and the snow, you know, that half the country's in a deep freeze. And we're just kind of hanging out. So we're happy to be in Los Angeles today.
Absolutely.
I am excited to introduce Brian. For those of you, this is what I love, Brian, about the show, because LA40 is, touches on a bunch of things, lifestyle, but a little bit of what it means to be living into and moving into life after 40. And the reason for that topic is because all of the interviews I've done over the years, there seems to be a bit of a tipping point. And what happens, for some people it happens earlier, it happens at 30, for some people it happens at 50, but you know, we pick 40 as sort of that in-between age where you look at your life and you say, okay, am I really where I thought I was going to be by now?
I bet the answer is no.
That's right.
Mostly everyone out there.
You think so? I was going to say, but it could be, right? And
could be.
Part of why I'm excited to have you on the program is because that age is also kind of a point where entrepreneurship, is that a word?
Entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
Entrepreneurship.
Somebody Google for us and let us know.
We get it.
But that's where a lot of people decide, you know what, I've worked in corporate, I've learned what I need to learn, and I now have enough confidence in myself to move out and do something on my own because I have 20 to 30 years of work ahead of me still to go. And I want to do something that I'm passionate about. Now, one of the things when you're starting a new business, and if you own a new business, fantastic. If you're looking to start a new business, then definitely stay tuned because one of the things that any new business needs, and you'll absolutely agree with me, I know you will, is cash and cash flow and funding and money. And so, AllGreen. Brian Eaton is the CEO and founder of AllGreen Funding. And what I want you to do for us, Brian, because you've had a lot of experience in this, is tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, because there's a reason you're passionate about what you do, and then we're going to move it into how and what AllGreen Funding does and how it's going to be imperative for you small business owners or you looking to start your own business in 2018 or beyond to know about the type of work that Brian and his team does. So I'm excited.
Excellent, Katerina. Couldn't have had a better introduction there.
So do tell us. Oh, and I just want to, top of the hour, Brian, if you're interested in asking Brian any questions while he's here, you're more than welcome to join the conversation. You can do so by dialing. Did I have coffee this morning? I'm not sure. Do so by dialing into us. It's 818-570-5085, 818-570-5085. But first, talk to me a little bit about your entrepreneurialness.
Thank you, Katerina. So been an entrepreneur since I was pulling my radio flyer wagon around on the streets of Villa Park. I grew up,
the shady streets of Villa Park in Orange County.
There, a little suburb there in Orange County, and my buddy and I used to sell soda pops in the summertime. My dad stock up the whole garage with a wall full of 12 packs of soda pop from Costco, and
what would you do? You'd add like your little commission on top of that.
You really want to know?
You'd upsell
we would stand. Well, I think Dad basically just put us in business and bought the soda for us, but he'd like to see us making money, and so we had our little Crayola box, which was our bank, and we would stand out on the corner all summer, ice cold drinks, 50 cents a pop.
Amazing. How old were you?
I was probably 8 years old. So those are the entrepreneurial roots. Fast forward through college and owning a large technology and real estate valuation appraisal company. Back in the early 2000s, before the Google Earth and maps were very well known, and we were working out of those old Thomas guides, put a technology system in place to automate a lot of the processes that we did as
this
evaluation.
is sort of the early years of the internet.
I'd say, this is in the early 2000-ish, 2002. So we had a real good run, and we all know what happened in 2008, 2009. I think all entrepreneurs have been reeling for the last
10
near
years
decade.
Almost, yeah.
And so fast forward to where we're at today. Started AllGreen funding back a few years ago to educate entrepreneurs, startups, existing business owners. Whether you're a pre-revenue, pre-startup phase, you don't even really have your business plan and model there yet, or a $100 million entity. We help you get educated on what funding options are available to grow and scale your business.
Because I was going to say, I want to back it up even a little bit more than that. So,
It's your show.
But this is perfect, because I want to just get into exactly what you mean by funding. Because when I think funding, I think, okay, I'm going to go to my bank and I'm going to go and try and get a line of credit. So what makes you different from a traditional bank?
Sure. So, we do work with a lot of institutional lenders. We work with a lot of private investors and lenders as well. We strictly do loans. We don't do equity. We don't invest in businesses. We are a consulting firm that helps business owners become informed about the different options, pros and cons, and what is available based on their profile and their business, really. In regards to banks, banks definitely do not lend money to early phase startups, and if you're not making more than $1 million a year in revenue, which is, most small businesses out there, then you don't really have much of a chance to obtain any type of significant funding from an institutional bank or lender for that matter. So that's where, firms like AllGreen come into play. We're on that alternative financing side of the industry, which is becoming a lot more prevalent, especially with these early phase businesses that just aren't quite bankable yet.
Well, and that's the thing, because sometimes people have a dream, right? And they think, I want to move out of being a tax accountant. I've always had a love of landscaping. Maybe I'll start my own landscaping business.
That would be a strange transition, but
it's happened. But
sure.
It could happen.
Absolutely.
The thing is that you need the access to some capital, and a lot of traditional places might look at you and say that, like you just said, right, that's a little bit strange. What I love about what AllGreen's done is you've set up almost an automated system that can pre-assess
sure.
and instantaneously pre-qualify someone for a loan. That's fantastic.
That's absolutely right. So we created what we call the AllGreen business funding machine that allows...
I know that sounds scary to me.
Scary? We tried to make our brand approachable and casual and unlike other brands out there. But in regards to the technology system and being really, again, educators and consultants that really want to serve the small business community and the startup community, educating them on what's available, this system allows an entrepreneur at any phase of development to quickly go in, fill out, I think there's about 13 to 15 data points, and then once we get on that consultation call, which, by the way, for your guests, we're going to be giving a consultation to review all of the available options and really educate, our viewers on what's out there. So within a matter of 3 to 5 minutes, a business owner can go in, fill out a simple survey, and then that allows our consultants to quickly analyze and guide you, educate you, point you in the right direction.
And direction is, I think, what a lot of people need. What's one of the biggest myths, in your opinion, when it comes to financing a business? Because I know what happens with a lot of people is they get deterred by the lack of capital. So should that be a deterrent?
I would say the biggest myth really is that there is startup funding available.
That there is.
There is startup. Not there is not. There is startup funding available. You don't have to have this lengthy, drawn-out business plan, and it's smart to have a business plan. I would advise to have one, but this is when you're in an early phase, it's really about the credentials of the business owner and operator, which our system analyzes the ABCs of funding. So you have
What are your
assets.
ABCs of funding?
Sure. So you have, assets, business revenue, and credit, and that's really how any business or loan is going to be structured upon those different, shall we say, buckets.
Right.
And so someone who has all of the ABCs, an existing business, millions of dollars in revenue, they own some commercial real estate, the business has a great, credit score. They have all of the ingredients, if you will, to have many different options and alternatives. Whereas, the early phase businesses, startups, they have potentially some assets. Maybe they own some real estate, some stocks, some retirement assets, maybe some intangible, intellectual property, and they have their credit. And the credit really for the early phase businesses to get that initial unsecured funding, which is very low documentation and fairly easy to transact without having a stack of paperwork this high. That's what we really analyze and look at. So, we're able to get a pre-revenue startup based on the credit profile and some other things, but just credit-based unsecured, we have been able to obtain well over $250,000, $300,000 for highly qualified pre-revenue startups, which is absolutely unheard of in this industry. So
that's fantastic. We hear about startup funding all the time, and again, this is something that deters people. With the ability to fund these businesses, how much of that socially do you feel you're giving back to the community in terms of adding value? I suppose you're fueling the economy first and foremost.
Socially giving back, I mean, these entrepreneurs, you have a dream, you have a passion, you have a project, whatever that may be, we help you monetize, or shall I say, initially capitalize.
So give me a fun story. So someone comes to you with a business. What's a little case study you can give us that'll make Joe at home who wants to start a business with, like pretty little holiday cards. And he's got this holiday card business store dream.
Oh, so you're making the example.
Well, okay. I'm saying,
That's
listen,
fine.
no, wait. I'm saying that he's at home with this dream. So give him an example of someone that you have funded.
Okay.
From a startup perspective.
There's many to pick from. One of my most recent favorite clients actually had a contract with Major League Baseball for these ice creams on a stick. Essentially, it was a licensing agreement and a pre-revenue startup. Wouldn't say I know the exact figure off the top of my head, but between cash term loans and some revolving credit lines, which we were able to structure, some corporate credit to build and begin that corporate credit profile to separate from your personal profile. We wound up with well over $300,000 for this very early phase business. Had an opportunity. We work with a lot of fix and flip real estate investors.
Now, what are the terms on that in terms of the length of time? Is this a 5-year loan? Is it a 10-year loan? Does it vary depending on the circumstance?
Sure. So,
do I take the $300,000 and have to get it back to you in a year?
No. So that would be for certain existing businesses. There's some of those more aggressive payback time frames and different programs available. But if we're talking about a pre-revenue startup, we'd be looking at a combination of cash term loans, which would be anywhere between a 3 and a 7 year payback. So it's a term loan, meaning it has a fixed monthly payment interest rate for a fixed period of time. And then we would also like to blend in some revolving credit lines for the entrepreneur as well, because as with a term loan, you're paying on the full amount of that money on a, again, fixed monthly payment interest rate. Whereas on the revolving credit lines, as you all know, you've had credit cards. You got a $10,000 credit limit on a Capital One card. If you use 0, you don't make a payment. And if you use 8,000 or 5,000, then you're making said payment and you're able to pay that down and reuse. And so it's a blend of a couple different type of loan programs and structures to give the entrepreneur flexibility. And then again, you don't want to be paying on $150,000 of term loan debt to have it sitting in your bank if you don't have a need immediately for that money to put it to work. So it's nice to have, that revolving credit access as well when and if needed.
Right, and needed, and I know that it's one of the things that people need. Like we said, if you have a need, you can see that Brian is very well versed in what he does, and that's why I wanted to make sure we get him on the program early in the year, because this is something that can help a lot of people.
The economy is strong.
The economy is strong, absolutely.
Entrepreneurship is the lifeblood of America. I wanted to back up though, because you're all sitting there, okay, sounds great, rates, terms, that type of thing. So I talked about some terms here, but rates, so highly qualified entrepreneurs, they have that credit, they have some decent, maybe W-2 income from an existing position, like we've said here. You're looking at single-digit interest rates, unsecured funding.
Great.
It's absolutely unheard of. You can't compare a unsecured, loan to a real estate transaction. So realistically, when you're talking about mortgage, which we do not do, we don't do any consumer lending, refinancing of your primary residence. We just work with investors. We work with a lot of real estate investors, all that. But not to get too far down the rabbit hole with the real estate stuff. A mortgage, though, could be between a 3 to 5% interest on a secured mortgage, say on your primary residence. Business funding's different. You're talking unsecured loans. They're not, tied to a piece of collateral like a piece of real estate. You're looking in the 7 to 10, 12% range based on the profile. And that's really great. I mean, based on your ROI, your monetization strategy, that cost of capital can be far outweighed by your potential business opportunity.
When you see people coming to work on a business opportunity and get funding, where do you see most of that cash going? Is it towards marketing? Is it towards
that is a very difficult question.
Does that vary depending on the business?
Sure. So we do every type of business and industry except some illicit industries. However, the use of funds, shall we say, is just across the board. Some people need, I just did a deal, a woman was buying $600,000 worth of the equipment. Okay. Some people don't need any equipment for their business. Some people need all of their money for marketing, branding, advertising, website development, social media. So I see a really strong blend of different types of loan programs. There's such a assortment of different programs that you can leverage as an entrepreneur. And again, all we do, we're all performance-based. We charge absolutely $0 up front for our services, $0 truly out of pocket for what we do. We're just all about educating entrepreneurs. There's 15, 20 programs available in the marketplace at any given time, and hundreds of different lenders offering these various programs. So it just really depends, which is part of the consultation process that we offer, is to figure out, truly what is your use of funds? Do you need cash for things like staffing? You can't pay a staff member on a credit card. Do you need marketing and web development, social media, SEO? Now you can use a credit line. So the more intimately we understand the entrepreneur's profile, their needs, their goals, then we can create and tailor. And oftentimes, Katerina, it's a multi-phase funding approach. You may have an entrepreneur that even in an early phase or a little later may qualify for, let's just say, an SBA loan.
Okay, explain that for the viewer.
Small Business Administration loans. They
how does that differ from a startup?
Well, it doesn't differ from a startup, but let me get to what I'm explaining here is the SBA. You can get very low rates. Not many businesses really qualify. A lot of people hear about them. They say, I want the SBA loan. So we use our unsecured program we've been talking about here, oftentimes as a bridge to a takeout loan from the SBA to pay off this debt. So that's what I'm saying. We're really about the education process, and we're not just this like one and done, hey, we got you a loan, good luck, see you later. We really like to map out a strategic growth plan for the entrepreneur to be able to leverage different types of financing, shall we say OPM, other people's money, to grow their enterprises. And there's really all types of funding out there, especially once you get your business lifted off the ground. You have a lot more opportunities. Now you have purchase orders, you have accounts receivables, 2 years in, you have your tax returns filed. So we really take an entrepreneur based on, if you're starting out here or you're all the way up here running $100 million, international enterprise. We create that strategy to even take the guy from here and show him how he's going to accomplish getting to whatever level of success they're looking to achieve.
And that's what I like about you and your team, is because not only are you coming from the finance side in terms of your knowledge, but you're also coming from the journey side. So you've been where a lot of these startups are, and that's where you're infusing some of this, let's take care and add value across the board. That's
Sure.
what I love, because you've been there as a business owner yourself.
Yeah, I've been up and down and all the way around. And after my venture that essentially imploded back in the 2008-9-ish range, found myself actually critically ill with a rare neurological condition, I think due to all the stress of being an entrepreneur, because hey, it's not easy, right? There's a lot of ups and downs, but it is really what America is built off of, is entrepreneurship and free thinking and creative, new, innovative ideas.
You seem to be
It's
doing.
tough.
I was going to say you seem to be doing good now, though, and that's part of
It's
the.
been a journey, though. It's not easy, and I would tell anyone out there, it's not for the thin-skinned and.
If you had a son right now, or a daughter, if you had a child, would you?
I have a timber wolf, actually. That's my only son currently.
And they said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to skip the corporate route and I'm going to become an entrepreneur." What would you say to that?
Poor planning promotes piss poor performance, so I would say create that the plan,
map.
figure out your monetization strategy.
How malleable do you need to be?
I'm sorry?
How malleable do you need to be with that structure?
I don't even know what that word means, Katerina. Jeez, I'm just a dumb finance guy. Come on. I'm not as malleable.
How flexible do you need to be?
How flexible?
Yes.
I would say that flexibility is one of the most important characteristics and traits for any entrepreneur, because you can create a plan, you can have a strategy, and everything changes. You can have some maybe core principles and a general outline, but where AllGreen funding is at today and where it was at 3 years ago when we started, while we're still in the same vein of business, our model, the way we get business, the way we approach the marketplace, everything has significantly changed, all for the better, but it's all about constantly morphing and changing and adapting. And a lot of entrepreneurs just die on the vine with, I'm set with this, it's gonna work, and you have to be able to adapt to making some changes. And sometimes it doesn't have to be drastic, run the opposite direction. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a tweak, an adjustment, maybe a couple words on your site, or a way that you address your email marketing with the headline, that type of thing.
Right,
It doesn't always have to be drastic, you know?
Yeah. Something that is, hot topic rolling around Washington, D.C. these days is FinTech, financial tech, right?
Sure.
What do you see happening? Do you see that evolving a little bit more forcefully in 2018? Any thoughts there?
Absolutely. I mean, you have LendingTree, is a $3 billion company. They're really, I would put them more in like a lead generation classification as a group. There's a lot of so financial technology is a major growth sector, talked about a lot in DC, and the Silicon Valley boys are jumping in. I'm in Orange County, so there's a lot of tech development down there. But so AllGreen has flexibly morphed into this more of a consulting firm and a financial technology company with one of our first, I don't even want to call it like a beta, but one of our first pieces of technology is this pre-qualification engine to help us understand. We're developing some other very exciting technologies as we speak to just make things easier for the business owner community to kind of plug and play and get educated quickly. But the alternative space is really growing. FinTech is on the rise.
I think I had read somewhere that by 2020, 1/5 of all lending is going to be alternative funding.
Yeah, that's
pretty heavy.
That's accurate. I think that
Yeah.
it may really even
be
be,
light?
yeah.
Wow.
I think that, the more opportunities that are arising for startups to get in business, a lot of these young kids in tech, I mean, they're already multimillionaires before their 21st birthday with the age of the internet. So,
Right. And they say that in 2018, they're estimating 60% of all new businesses are going to be female-owned and operated. So there's going to be a little
what?
bit. Yeah,
This one?
60%. Yeah,
Wow.
2018. So
Okay.
you may have some pretty women knocking on your
you
door.
got better. Yeah, you got better stats than me, Katerina. I'm gonna have to come to you.
Our production team does the research. Here
Really?
we go.
60%, huh?
60%
Well,
of new
that's
businesses in
fantastic.
America.
We
Yeah,
love that.
which
We
is,
love the female entrepreneur.
Well,
and
I think the female entrepreneur comes to the table not only with a strong business sense, because again, more women are being educated through post-secondary education than men, and that's been a trend for probably 20 years now. But second of all, I think the world needs a
There's
little
more
female
women
DNA.
in the world, right?
And there are more women in the world, right? There are.
We're outnumbered,
right?
guys. All right.
but I think as women, we come to the table with some different skill sets that are intuitively feminine, that can only help to add a little bit of depth to the existing economy, which, as you mentioned at the top of the hour, is pretty good, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We like business
What would you say?
owners.
What would you say your split realistically right now, if you had to guess? You don't have your numbers in front of you, but how much lending have you done to women versus men? Is it a 70-30, 20-80, 50-50?
You kind of nailed it on the first one. I would say as of now, we're probably around more 70% on the male side and 30%. But the more I think about it, and just thinking about my current pipeline, and we do have that stat sounds accurate, because I would say I'm going to get back to you on that one.
Okay,
I'll come back with some real detailed statistics.
We'll get a call in
on
a next
one.
show with
Give
your
me something to think
information.
about.
Something to think about. I'm thinking about what some of the emerging industries are going to be as we head into the future. So what are you seeing? Something new, something trending?
Sure. So we touched upon, the space that we're in, alternative lending.
I suppose, yeah.
Financial technology is definitely on the rise. A lot of banks, a lot of,
How about here in California, cannabis?
I was going there, Katerina.
The cannabis sector.
So we are all green, Green is undoubtedly the most positive buzzword in the entire planet, whether money, growth, wealth, sustainability, energy.
Actually, the color green, just not to interrupt you, the color green
you just
back
did
in the
interrupt
day.
me right when I was getting to my plug. You just killed it. And the most recent emergence of the green rush, the cannabis industry, all green. we like to of course, do business with people that like to do business with us. We're different. Our company, our brand, our commitment, the way that we do our intake process, our control. So the cannabis industry is definitely something we support the movement. I know everyone out there doesn't. There is a lot of various loan programs out there and available for cannabis entrepreneurs that they don't know of. There's different real estate options, equipment financing options. As we know, it's still not federally legal. So all of these funds, if you will, these are private funds. None of these are coming from institutions, banks, those, because they will not lend to. And you can't legally, process Visa or MasterCard with any type of cannabis transactions, CBD transactions.
Even in California today?
Absolutely not. It's still federally illegal. You cannot process Visa or MasterCard transactions. For any of you out there that are cannabis entrepreneurs looking for that solution, we do have it here at AllGreen, because that's just what we do. We have to stay up on the latest, greatest, newest,
malleable.
Innovative technologies, be flexible, always researching. So we love the green rush. It's definitely, it's happening. There's pushback and everything, but we're definitely, our main industries, if you will, that we focus on. However, we can do any type of loan for any type of business. We're really heavy just in the early phase, the startup guys. It doesn't matter really what you do. We do a lot of private real estate lending for investors that are fix and flip, buy and hold. We have portfolio loans.
Right. So
we
it's
have
really
line of
all-purpose.
credit for real estate investors. We do a lot of commercial real estate lending where we're restructuring debt, getting into a better position, maybe you have a few commercial buildings. You want us to take a look at, what options are available to save some money on your interest rates or restructure. And cannabis. We like cannabis.
And cannabis too. How about for AllGreen in 2018 and beyond? Any new changes, any innovation coming in, or
I'm
just
still
continued
sleeping.
expansion?
It's the 4th. Jeez.
Just continued expansion. I like it.
I would say, the holiday season, while I wanted to rest, relax, and hang out with my friends and family, I'd say it's an indicator just for business growth, the economy continuing to grow and strengthen here in the U.S., entrepreneurs like yourself starting businesses. But we were December was one of the busiest months of 2017 for us, and that steam hasn't stopped through, right now today, bringing us to the 4th of January.
Right.
Happy birthday, Lauren. I love you, little sister.
Wow. Oh,
and
happy
baby
birthday,
Liv.
Lauren.
She just had a
Congratulations to
10
baby
days.
Liv.
Baby Liv.
So you're an uncle.
I am officially an uncle.
All right.
And
So
then I have a wolf son, timber wolf named Oso. So.
And you'll be in a position as she grows up to help guide her when it comes to financing. I think we have a call coming in. Let's take a look.
All right.
All right, here we go. Hi, you're joining LA40 on the line.
Hello, I have a question
Hi,
for you.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Lois Whitman. I'm a friend of the host, and I'm listening to the show. And I would like to know from your fabulous expert who's giving us a lot of financial advice, what's the rate of people that get loans that don't make it?
Well, that's a great question, Lois. Startups have a lot of vulnerability and threats, and a lot of them do not succeed, unfortunately. On our end, what we do is, since we're doing loans, right, we are not investing in the businesses with our own capital necessarily, which we'd be acutely aware of what was going on then. I don't know. I do not have that stat because, again, this money is not coming from our firm. We are a consulting firm that is connecting the entrepreneur to the lender. But we do keep up with our clients, and I think that we would know if they're failing. I don't want to give you some general answer. It's just, it can be different really based on industry. People that have a 750, credit profile already, they've suffered tough times personally, and they've still remained. So while a business may fail, and I was just having this conversation with one of my partners the other day, and have a certain amount of debt that is tied to a certain entity or industry or business plan, that 750 credit entrepreneur, even if this business doesn't work, let's say they're flexible and they figure out something that does work, so they don't ever really necessarily default on the funding. So maybe the business venture plan A didn't work, so plan B they create to figure out a strategy to pay it back. Whereas, people that have, lower credit scores, the history can repeat itself, and those people may be more susceptible
Would you be less likely to loan to them? Or I guess that would have to go through your system and to see whether they would even qualify.
So if
I come in and I, to Lois's point, and I've already had some bad luck and I'm sitting at a 500 credit score, would you be like, there's no way? Or would you look at some other mitigating factors?
If you have assets trumps everything, right? So I don't care what your credit is. If tell me, hey, I have a bunch of free and clear real estate, and you got a 500 credit score, it doesn't matter all that much. But if you're looking for a strictly credit-based option and you have a 550 FICO score, just on the credit standalone, you would not be able to. Now, however, if you do have a lower credit score, as we know, entrepreneurs can come up on tough times. That does happen to many of us. And you can get I hate to use the word, but it is what they're called, hard money business loan that would be unsecured just based on your business's monthly revenue. We do not like to do a lot of these, and we really only do them when there's an absolute need.
What is that? Explain that a little bit more to us. Hard business loan.
Yeah, so they're referred to as merchant cash advances. It essentially is just based on the merit of the revenue and the cash flow of the company. And it doesn't really matter what your credit is. It doesn't matter if you have assets. It is extremely risky. And the rates are excessive. I mean, I am talking...
What's excessive? 18%? 12%?
No, they wish, right? So 50% for some entrepreneurs.
How desperate does someone have to be to get a 50% loan off of a revenue stream that isn't even guaranteed? That sounds like a bad idea.
It's really a lifeline for them. Again, we do not promote, endorse, or enjoy doing these types of loans.
Lois, would you ever take a loan like this?
No, but there is different ways to look at loans, and I was very interested in his opinion about, who you loan to and who you don't, and how much counseling you give to entrepreneurs. Because I was listening to the interview, and you were talking about, that entrepreneurism is the backbone of America. But I've been very involved in the tech industry longer than you're around your age.
I'm glad you called in, Lois.
That a number of years ago. Hello?
Oh, yep.
We're here.
Still there? Yeah, a number of years ago, everybody was getting money from every VC, angel investor. Now it's like really dried up because, most of the people that came up with ideas that took loans and everything, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 90% of these companies were not even in business because they were so, misguided about how the whole business, the whole essence of business really worked, that they were spending money on artwork and gorgeous, ergonomic chairs rather than...
They took all the money from the VC guys and
yes.
spent it on having a good time, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And, and I'm watching this, like next Tuesday, the CES show starts, and I go to every startup area there is, and every year, 90% of the people that were here at the before are no longer even here.
The turnover,
it's crazy.
Well, Lois,
so for somebody to take a 50% loan, this is just like, doing alternative work rather than going out and getting a job.
Sure.
I'm sure that you have to be very careful.
We don't do that. So even entrepreneur comes to us, they're in bad shape. They're in a desperate need for some immediate capital, or oftentimes they need to close their doors and let go of their staff. What we do as a firm, because again, we don't like doing these, but if it's a necessity, then what we'll do is get the funding for the entrepreneur. It's quite expensive, but immediately help them restructure, reposition, get into a better spot so that, 90 days down the line, they're paying on this really high interest loan, that we can get them into something much more affordable, in the much lower, interest rate and cost of capital range. Because again, we started, I'll be honest with you, we started out 3 years ago and we were doing a lot of those, and very quickly we decided this is not the direction that we want to go with our business. We want to be able to offer, prime lending to qualified business owners that are really looking for that growth and have a good idea, and we believe in them getting it to the marketplace. So regardless where you come in and what condition you're in, I'm certain that our consultants can offer some extremely valuable information to any entrepreneurs. Again, if you're in this, kind of barroom napkin pre-startup phase, all the way through an entrepreneur that is, making a lot of money but maybe wants to restructure some debt or looking for a significant line of credit. We're here to help and educate.
Good one-stop.
Love to meet you, Lois,
you
sometime. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thanks for calling in, Lois. Take care. Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year. Bye-bye. All right. So, that was a fair question. And to Lois's point, I had the same thought this morning, and I actually took a few minutes to try and Google that stat. I thought, how many small businesses went bankrupt in 2015 is what the year I picked, so that there would be a little bit of history. And the only thing that came up for the first 3 pages of Google were companies offering small lending solutions. So there were no federal stats that showed up, no state stats, nothing. I was looking for something that I would have been able to answer this question, because I had the same question in my mind. How many businesses just go bust? And all I got was being pitched. These companies probably are going nuts with Google AdWords because
Sure.
they had the first 3 pages.
I think
so,
it's more, industry specific, as Lois was saying.
Yeah.
A lot of these technology companies, you got 10 companies all running 100 miles an hour doing the same
way.
thing. The first guy gets to market, it's got the best brand, wipes out the rest of these guys. So it's really, it's well over 50%. I mean, if I just had to throw out a number, it is, and that's a scary statistic. But
well, that's why you know
it's a scarier
and not your own.
statistic, though.
What's that?
Is people that are just really miserable in their professional career. You don't like your boss. You could do a better job than he can. You're stuck in a dead-end job. You feel like there's no growth or opportunity. That's more of a failure than even starting a small business and completely failing and going bankrupt.
At least you're living life with a little bit of passion.
Yes, you
right?
got to have that. It definitely, entrepreneur. You got to have that risk tolerance. You got to have that drive, that attitude. You can't lose if you never give up.
And I was going to say, and you don't want to give up, but we are giving up on our time here shortly.
Okay.
Final thoughts for anyone that is considering borrowing money. Any tip you need to leave them with, other than use us?
Not really. There's so many places out there you can go. I take a different approach from an educational standpoint. A lot of guys charge application fees. You want to talk to me, it's a fee. Right. We just like to educate entrepreneurs. We don't have to sell money. Everyone either needs money or wants more money. We're not selling anything. We simply are able to lay out different options. Here's a plan, here's a strategy, here's how we can maybe restructure or do things a little different or get you to where you need to be.
And we have a special bonus offer for some of our viewers right now. We're going to flash this on the screen. So if you are interested in working with Brian and his team, getting to a place where you can see whether or not you qualify, pre-qualify, can get some funding in 2018 for your business, for your dream. You can do so by going through this link, which is allgreenfunding.com/Katerina. That way we know that you came in through the show, and Brian and his team will take extra special care of you, because that's
I don't
what
do
we
this
do.
often, Katerina, because I don't get on a lot of individual consulting calls. But for anyone that calls in,
you'll get Brian
goes to
himself.
Her. If you guys want to talk to myself, I'm happy to do.
Although your team is great too, in fairness.
Well, absolutely.
You always want to go to the big boss. Right?
Don't look at myself. I'm Chief Bagel Maker here.
That's funny because I like bagels. There we go. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the program today. I think, again, part of what we want to do here is just remind people that life's too short, right? And not that we want you to go busting up your life, but do literally consider, you've got a lot of time left. And I think for anybody that's sort of, in our generation, we are going to live comfortably, unless one of us gets hit by a bus when we leave here today, knock on wood, but comfortably we're going to live easily into our 90s, if not beyond. So that's a heck of a lot of time left, right? Why not do something you love?
Got to, every day.
Did
you want me to give my, if someone doesn't really want to visit the link and they do?
Yes, absolutely.
So our toll-free number, call in, please let us know that you are listening in on the show, is I always screw this up, 877-887-4769.
Okay, repeat that.
877-887-4769. Let us know you're tuning in here. You can ask for me or one of my fellow colleagues, and we're happy to, again, educate and serve the small business community that we believe in.
Perfect.
Happy New Year to you all. And are we done now?
We are. We are done. All we have to do is say goodbye.
I like this microphone. This is fun.
Well, it's funny because you just kind of want to keep talking and talking and talking. And what I love
I'm hanging out with you, right?
Well, that's what we do here on LA40. But no, seriously, thank you for taking the time to drive up here, because LA traffic and getting into the city of Los Angeles is never easy. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, because you are so full of knowledge that, I think this is important information for people to be aware of. And thank you to you at home for tuning in, because we always have a little bit of fun on here. We're trying to educate, enlighten, and engage, and provide you with a little bit of motivation, inspiration as we head into 2018.
A lot
I'm
of
pretty
motivation,
excited about
inspiration.
It. Are you excited? This could be a good year.
I am ecstatic.
I can feel the ecstasy coming off of you, Brian.
Definitely looking forward to a very strong 2018. Hope you all had a happy holiday.
Absolutely.
And
thank you for being with us.
Looking forward to a great new year.
All right,
Thank you
I
for
love
being
it.
I'm
Take
happy
care.
to be here.
We'll see you next week.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.